this episode of Decoding the Bible, we're going to talk about the story of Cain versus Abel. How do we know that Cain and Abel is a symbolic story? We're going to turn to Genesis chapter 5, verses 1 through 3. First verse talks about the generations of Adam. The third verse talks about his son in his own likeness called Seth. What happened to Cain and Abel? They are a symbolic story that has no real relevance to the generations of Adam. In Genesis 4:2, we can see the symbology behind the two names. First is Abel. Abel in Hebrew means breath or air. Hebrew mysticism, air symbolizes spirit and life force. The meaning of sheep is for your thoughts. So his name and title tell us that he is our divine spiritual thoughts. In Hebrew, Cain means possession, and his title as tiller of the ground. Earth and ground symbolize the lower state of your mind and body. Cain is everything physical and carnal that we all find ourselves in daily. In Genesis chapter 4, verses 4 through 5, God shows no respect for Cain's offering. Why is this? Turning to Romans chapter 8, verses 6 through 9, we can clearly see why God rejects Cain's offering. We see that to be carnally minded is death, but spiritually minded is life and peace. The carnal state is against God. It says it plain as day in verse 7. Why? Because the Spirit of God dwells within you. Jesus is another example of a shepherd guarding the sheep as thoughts. Don't see the connection? Let's turn to Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 34. Jesus says 5 times to take no thought. Everything he mentions about taking no thought all has to do with the physical carnal state. Why 5 times? For the 5 senses. The Bible is a code book. He is talking about meditation. How else do you reject everything physical and take on only the spirit? By turning your 5 senses from this physical world into the Spirit of God that lives within us all. Cain, filled with jealousy and emotions, overcame Abel, destroying him, and becoming cursed by God to forever walk the earth. Maybe this is us. We could all be trapped in a state of reincarnation, living life over and over until we decide to reach for the God within us all. I'll end this with one last scripture, Matthew 6:24. No man can serve 2 masters. Most people think it's talking about God and Satan. I don't agree, and here's why. Mammon in Aramaic means wealth and riches, meaning you can't love God and this world. You can love the world and forever die in a cycle of reincarnation, or you can turn your love to God and live for eternity.